to infinity and beyond.
Hello everybody, it's Roger and James here from Infinity and Beyond, and in this episode we're going to be sharing our initial thoughts on Injustice 2. Saying initial thoughts because it's a pretty big game and I don't want to kind of jump into this. So far I am just currently playing through the story mode, which is obviously the fighting game. I'm just trying to think where I got up to last night. I was literally, Superman was just about to get rescued by Supergirl, which kind of would be a breakout. It's kind of the opposite thing. But Mark, what was your initial impression of the game? Where are you up to? What you've been thinking?
I'm actually not too far into the story. I think you're a little bit farther than I am, but not an incredible amount. But overall, I'm impressed. I've actually been diving more into the Watchtower side of things, the customization, which has been very deep, far deeper than I was expecting it to be. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great little game. It's a great sequel to the first one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm primarily just interested in story mode. That's the one thing I'm interested in. All the online play, all that kind of stuff. That's fun on the side, and it probably will keep a lot of people into this game long term. I mean, the whole thing of the competitions. I mean, I get a message through from Amazon with a free thing for logging in for my esport. I turned around to my wife and said, "Hey, look, I can enter to win $20,000." And she said, "Well, you better get good at it."
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. But no, for me, story mode is what it's all about. This is what I loved about the first game. I've been playing through it. I'll be honest, it's that thing of old man game of they're like easy, and I just want to enjoy this. I just want to have some fun. I want to, if I lose a couple of times on each round going through until I learn the spit skills and stuff, fine. Not got a problem with it. I'm just enjoying it. I'm loving the story, the detail, the characters. I've said this to my mum yesterday. I said, "Oh, so I'm playing this game," and I was like, Superman turned evil after Joker drugged him and he killed his pregnant Lois Lane. And Batman, and my mum went, "That sounds a bit dark for him." It was like, yeah,
I mean, it is DC. They do love their dark storylines.
I think it's like my mum was like, "Well, that's not the Superman either." I was like, "Yeah, he is the Superman." It's like, this is pretty deep. But I think in generally, I mean, I love the story. I think it's great that they're doing something so different.
It is, but it's kind of weird at the same time because the parts of the story I've been through, I'm kind of, because they jump back in time to before Injustice 1, where you're actually in the rise of Superman, and I'm sitting there like, man, you guys are jerks to Superman. He just lost his wife and daughter. Sure, he's being a bit excessive here because he's not terrible at the beginning of it. You know, he's just killed Joker and now he's like rounding up all the Arkham prisoners or whatever. But because like Batman's treating him like he's already a top level Brainiac level villain. You're like, maybe you should try to be a little empathetic here. I know that's like anathema to Batman, but it's like, maybe you should try being like, "I'm so sorry, Lois is dead," and not just like, "Superman, you've got to stop this right away. I will beat you up with my kryptonite." And like, I'd probably turn evil too.
If you've never played Injustice or you're not sure, you're probably coming into this game and be like, "What the hell's going on?" Because the story isn't on like a parallel universe. In the first game, they were jumping between time, so therefore they brought our heroes over to their universe and they were explaining what had been going on and what was. This one didn't do any of that. This one was just like, we're in that universe. There's nobody from the other universe in there. It's after they've all been caught, kind of thing. So it doesn't really. I don't think it did a very good job of explaining that. If you jumped into this and you hadn't played number one.
Well, and the funny thing is, they actually reference stuff that doesn't even happen in 1. There's stuff that they talk about which only happened in the tie-in comics. Yeah. Where you're kind of like, wait, Green Arrow? What do you mean this isn't the same Green Arrow? This Green Arrow's dead, but he's right there. Yeah. But that's Black Canary. Oh, but Black Canary's Green Arrow is dead, but now these two are married even though they got kids. And it's like, and they have kids. It's like, the heck is going on here? They don't do a good job with that.
I mean, they do seem to do that thing as well of bringing in like stuff from the DC heroes. I definitely feel like in some ways that like the DC hero shows have allowed them to open up a little bit to being like, you know, the Black Canary and the Green Arrow and Firestorm. I can't ever imagine that they would have been #1 picks for a video game had those TV shows not been around.
or Captain Cold for that matter.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely tell that the DC universe has undergone a massive change in between Injustice 1 and Injustice 2 because of these TV shows. I think Arrow was maybe the only show that was coming out when the first one came out, because it was 5 or 6 years ago now. And Suicide Squad, is in there as well. Harley has always obviously been popular, but now you've got Poison Ivy in there.
Yeah, because there was a little note that there was like with Deadshot, where they sort of started the match and goes, well, why are you doing this? Oh, they've put a thing in my head and I'm about to blow up, so I have to do it. And I thought it was a little bit like you're acknowledging that Will Smith was a good guy, because obviously for me in the Arrow series, Deadshot was just a bad guy. He was he was a one-dimensional character, whereas Will Smith's version was so much more multi-layered, and the first time they did that, I instantly thought they've changed that because of Suicide Squad.
Oh, absolutely. Because even in the comics, Deadshot has been a bad guy for a very long time. They've gone into moral gray area long before Will Smith's take on the character, but this is definitely a Will Smith version of the character. You've also see Harley Quinn turning far more, not good guy, but definitely anti-hero. And this is, again, a different version of Harley Quinn. But you can definitely tell. And the first game had Deathstroke, and he's gone from this, replaced effectively by Deadshot. And, you can tell that they're doing it based on characters that movie-going television audiences will be familiar with.
Yeah. I mean, generally, like I said, I'm having a blast playing it. I love it. Having played like Ultimate versus Marvel versus Capcom and things like Street Fighter, the story mode on this game is so good. It just, the whole, when you get through a fight, it then leads into the story mode, which leads straight into the action. That it just does it so well, and I really can't put over. Like, I mean, I'm enjoying playing through just to get, because I'm enjoying the story, and that you wouldn't necessarily think of that with a fighting game.
You wouldn't, and it's really well done, and it's not even just the story mode. It's the interactions with the characters. Like when you put two characters in a versus, or you're playing in the Watchtower, and there's two different characters, whether or not they are common enemies or not, they have banter between them that is specific to those two characters. So if you have Deadshot fighting against Harley, they will reference things that those two characters know, but other characters don't. If you've got Poison Ivy versus Black Adam, they've got their own little dialogue sets, and it's not just like the intro to the map or to the fight. They have the clash system returning from Injustice, where you have to wager power points against what will happen, and they have little dialogue bits in right before that starts, and it's all specific to the two characters. Yeah. So
it's very well done.
And I got to say, the animation, the facial animation in particular, looks fantastic. The lip syncing with the voices and whatnot looks great.
There was a kind of thing, I think, sometimes when you've got just humans without masks, it's actually a little bit difficult sometimes to know who they are.
Right.
There was a scene like someone was in a prison, and I'm like, well, who is he? They took him out of his costume, and it was a bit like, I don't know who this is, because the faces aren't recognizable enough to me. If they had him in his costume, it would have made a little bit more sense. But generally, playing through the fighting it's a bit slower. It's a little bit. I mean, I used to love Mortal Kombat way back when I played it in the arcade in the 90s and stuff, and had it on my Mega Drive because it had the blood. But it was that kind of thing of that style of I still love that, the sweep that they fall over, the mechanism, because this is essentially a Mortal Kombat game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't do fatalities because DC. Yeah, although that is in the game, they hid that in the game.
Yeah.
You can't kill the other characters like you can in Mortal Kombat.
The thing is, I still love. I mean, it's that kind of part of me. I love to finish the match on the big finish on that big.
Oh
ending.
Yeah.
It's like. Sometimes I do it, like if I get it in the first half of their energy bar, I will use it up because I want to kind of get enough credit up to do it again. But I love just doing that kind of, the big finish right at the end. I mean, there's that kind of thing as well. I think they do quite a good job sometimes of using the story to null the characters down a little bit. Like they shoot the Flash in the leg, so he's slower. You know, they have when he fights Superman, they give him a beam of red so he's not as strong, so Batman can fight him. They did little knocks just to kind of bring them down a little bit. I think that was a good. I thought that was a good way of doing it.
Although they did not tone down those super special moves, because no matter what you do, Supergirl will always punch you all the way to the moon. Yeah. Or no, not even the moon. She'll carry you past the sun, and then apparently there's an asteroid belt between the sun and the Earth somewhere. And and Superman, like, it still hurls you into the atmosphere, and Aquaman still has you getting eaten by a giant sea monster and all sorts of stuff, and you're fine afterwards. It's like, took some damage, I'm good.
It's like the Batman and going, you would be dead.
You'd be gone, man. I don't care what magic pill you took in Injustice 1. You're dead, dude. Yeah. But that's not the point. They're supposed to be highly cinematic, and they're very fun. I do wish there was a little bit of variety in the super special moves, because you do get kind of like,
okay, I've seen it once.
Batman just hit you with the bat, the flying bat thing, and now he's gonna shoot you. And, so I mean, obviously those are
a little nod to the Batman movie where it goes up. Does it like suck the moon and then it just drops? It's like such an iconic moment from the movie. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Of course, after you've seen it 10 times, you are like, they've not got any other moves. So that's, like you said, that's the only issue I have with them.
I'll activate the super move, make sure it connects, and then I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what's going on. Text message, okay. Yeah. And this is all just talking about the story mode. There's of course the entire secondary game, which is the Watchtower, which are random challenges that regenerate hourly, daily, weekly. They've got a whole function of them. And the ability to level your characters up to level 20 from 1 and equip them with customized gear that you get from doing these challenges. And when they advertise that, it's kind of like, oh yeah, you'll get a couple of choices. You'll get, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, will have one mask, and then he'll have another mask from a different comic run. But then when I started to get into this, I'm like, there is so much gear, and there's so much customization, and it's really an RPG in terms of like gear collection, kind of like a Borderlands style thing. Yeah. And there is so much that you can do with this, and the way they set it up is fantastic. It's like having an entire second game in Injustice 2. Yeah. And they've got bits of it that are surprising. Like, I can actually create my characters, and this is for every character on the roster. I can create these characters, and then I can set them up as defenders. And like if we were playing on the same system, we're not. You're on the PlayStation, I'm on the Xbox. But you could go and challenge my AI defenders that I've set up to fight in specific ways, kind of like the amiibos in Smash Bros. On the Wii U. But it's surprisingly fun. And you don't actually fight that. It's your AI versus my AI, but I could watch those all day. In fact, one of the things that I've found that I end up doing is, I've got like a mobile game, or I've got my work that I've got to do. I'll just throw up Injustice 2 onto the screen, set it to do an AI fight, and go back to work. And when it's done, I'll do another one, and whatever. I can just leave it on in the background doing that.
I mean, this is like an entire subset I've not even looked at. I'm still. To me, it was story mode. There's a kind of almost feels like different elements of this, because you've got the story mode, then you've got the e-fighting, the e-sport section, which they're doing all these contests. They're taking this game. This is they're in this for the long haul. This is like a 2-3 year platform. They've got 9 more characters coming. Whether or not I will jump in on that, I really need to see how I'm playing. I'll be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if, I do the story mode, and that might be it. It might be a bit bad for me, but I think there'll be a lot of us like that are casual players that may not want to get into all the other stuff. They'll play it, but, it'll be fun to play against people, but it almost feels like this game has got different levels, and I think that's good, because it's offering more variety.
And I think there is absolutely no problem getting this game just to get the story content, ignoring the Watchtower customization completely. You're probably looking at, from what I've read, 5 to 7 hours of gameplay. Yeah. But it's very fun gameplay. It's a top-notch story, at least from what we've seen so far. The graphics are fantastic. Voice acting is fantastic. If you are like Roger and myself in most cases, if you're here just for the story content, absolutely worth it. Might seem short at 7 hours, but it's going to be a great 7 hours.
Yeah. Having got off of just Zelda, 7 hours sounds lovely.
Time and place for everything, because as awesome it is to be like, I got 100 hours out of Zelda, at the same time, sometimes just like, I just want to finish the game. I want a game from start to finish. I prefer that structured storytelling to the open world gameplay. But you know what? If you want that more open gameplay, they've got the Watchtower, and it's going to have a finite number of things you can do because I think they're all manually programmed. But the Watchtower can easily double or triple the amount of time you put into the game.
And then you've got the online play. If you love fighting game, that's going to be another aspect. That's going to for me, it's not going to be I'm literally going to be cannon fodder to anyone I go into a match with. So. In some ways, I know, I'm a button basher. I'm there trying to remember it's the one thing with the story mode. Just as I feel like I've just learned some of the moves. Oh, we're changing character. Oh, no, I'm back to, I don't know anything again. I'm a punch, kick, punch. Ooh, special move.
It is very friendly to button mashers, even on the normal mode. Obviously, I would say the more difficult modes, which I have not dived into because I'm not masochist. I'm sure that you need to actually know what you're doing, but even on normal mode, most of the time, you can just be like, I'm just going to keep hitting these 3 buttons and jumping and jumping backwards, and maybe I'll win. And I am not going to play people because I don't need my ego destroyed like that. And it will get destroyed.
It's like I said, I'm having a lot of fun playing the story mode. Can't wait to jump back into it tonight and kind of carry on the story mode. And I think once I've done the story mode, mess about a bit of things. But no, first impressions, first few hours, 4 or 5 hours in, loving it, really enjoying it. I really can't state that. It's been a real nice kind of thing to jump into some of these DC characters and kind of see them. Anything else you want to add on that one?
No, I think the only thing that I would mention is, there is a season pass. We talked about that. There's 9 characters. We talked about it in the previous episode as well. I think if you're here for the story content, no reason to get the DLC characters. However, if you, like me, have really been getting into Watchtower and you think you're going to stick with Watchtower, I do think that's a decent selling point for the DLC characters. And I'm kind of going back and forth on, well, if I'm going to get this much content of gearing them up and customizing them the way I want, then 9 more characters does sound pretty enticing over the course of the next year and a half, however long it takes them to release these guys. So that's my opinion on that.
Okay, on that note, guys, let us know in the comments below what you guys think of Injustice 2. As per usual, you can hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest from us. You can also find James over at heroiclegacy.com. And on that note, guys, thank you very much for watching. See you guys soon. Later.